Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now. Get in, we did it again. Pete, how are you?
Oh, as I said to you before we were live, on top of the world, mate. Honestly, unbelievable performance from the boys. I don't think as a Newcastle fan you could have asked for anything more today from what we wanted from the boys. And yeah, fucking.
Pete, you could have asked for a Wilson hat trick. You could have asked for the 6th, the 7th, 8th goal. We should have probably scored as well. But we'll or even the 5th that I missed as well. But no, we'll take what we got, I think. But Pete, it's so close now. You can almost, if you listen very, very closely, you can almost hear it. Listen. Coming. That's not going to come backfire me whatsoever. No doubt about that. But what a day out. Anyone that was at the match, I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to watch it on streams. I'm sure where everyone saw it as well, or if you're looking forward to watching it a match of the day or watching it back on Sky or something later on, it is someday out. Right, Pete, let us get into it because it's just myself and yourself tonight. Richie's off at partying, and Chris has a night off as well. So we will fly through the game. But get your comments in, everybody. I'm sure there's plenty of comments and questions. Let's start with the team news. So, unchanged team. Why wouldn't there be? The only change, really, I guess, is ASM is back on the bench. Great to see him back on the bench, and he does get a few minutes towards the end of the game as well. Joelinton started in the front of the top three on the left, even though he did interchange a bit with Willock in the game. But pretty much the same team, or it was the same team even. So that was us. Any surprises there, Pete, for you, first of all?
No, I think we all expected it to be the same lineup. I think the one thing we were all waiting for more than anything was the Alan Saint-Maximin news. Was he going to be in the squad more than anything? I mean, if you're going to throw it out there in terms of the squad, there only may be surprises that Anderson's not involved. Eddie Howe did say, he's fit and ready to be part of the squad, but then all of a sudden. He's not part of the squad. I just think that's just because of Eddie Howe wants that balance in the squad. He wants to be able to bring players on in all positions who can play in all positions. So he's probably unlucky not to make it. But other than that, it was just the set maximum news, which I think we're all buzzing about.
Yeah, we were, Pete. Yeah, you're right. And this is the Villa team. And I know you had a great away days show. I saw most of it. I know I was in the chat for most of it with the two lads on the night, Billy and Rich. Really good show. Anyone that didn't see that, catch up because you're missing out some great content there, including the controversial combined team. That's a great feature. We'll shout out to Chris who came up with that great idea. So that's something that'll be in the way days going forward, I'm sure. But yeah, let's get into the game. We had the Brazilian flag in the crowd, and of course the Brazilian manager is in attendance along with Gareth Southgate. So yeah, a lot of eyes on the game, and I'm sure people will remind me as they have been doing all day about Joelinton potentially getting in the Brazilian squad. But there's an awful lot of criteria to fulfill. Yes, I'll say no more on that.
How you feeling right now?
Confidence still. Yeah, I want just on the record. I want to see Joelinton in the Brazilian squad, and I want to see Brazil win the World Cup. I want to see our guys win the Premier League. Right, let's get into the game, and I'll take you through it step by step. I have some pictures along the way. Go to the trusty notes. Could have done with about 15 pages here, front and back, but yep. Let's go. 2 minutes into it, Wilson header after a cross came in. 5 minutes, Longstaff tries to lob the keeper from the wing. If that went in, that would have been goal of the season. It's just going to be dominated by Newcastle players, the goal of the season here, even goal of the month. But yeah, that didn't work out. As I mentioned already, kind of J7 and Willock were kind of interchanging positions there as well. Joelinton would drop back into midfield and Willock could push on forward as well. They're kind of covering for each other, so it worked out pretty well. 11 minutes, Pope cut out the one Villa chance to stay in the game. Buendia's run into the box. 17 minutes, J7 had a shot. The ball from Shar again playing. His passing is unreal. He's up there with Bruno for the passing, and Botman, of course, as well. And like we used to always just rely on Shelby for this Hollywood ball, but there's some other players that can pass now. Anyway, 23 minutes. Yeah, Burn. Oh, yeah, this is where my stream stopped. Yeah, so Burn stopped the goal, a potential goal chance for Villa, and Buendia, I just saw that back. This kind of frustration then crept into the game. That first half was kind of a bit poor. It was so stop starty. I know Martinez got knocked ahead, and he played on, and then he had to go off, and then someone else went down, and it was just Buendia went down. It was just kind of stop start. And of course, we ended up with 10 minutes injury time in that first half. So yeah, we have the change, the concussion sub. Yeah, Wilson wasn't really getting any service at that stage of the game either. So fast forward then to 49 minutes, and the handball by Young, shot from Miggy, handball by Young, up steps Callum Wilson, no better man to take a penalty. I think we're all confident Callum Wilson would put that in the back of net. Bang. Callum Wilson goal, front of Gareth Southgate as well. Gareth Southgate, no stranger to penalties himself, but if you want a man for a penalty shootout, Gareth Southgate, I'd be bringing Callum Wilson. With thoughts on that bit first, Pete.
Yeah, look, I heard a couple of pundits like questioning it and saying, the penalty, the handball, saying, it's definitely a penalty in the modern day, but beforehand, well, no, it's a penalty regardless. It's stopping the ball traveling towards goal. It's clearly gone for a shot. The shot is 98% likely to be on target to work the goalkeeper, and he's put his hand up. It's a penalty all day. Well worked move, well deserved, and look. Callum Wilson, it was said that you want confident penalty takers to step up. Brilliant penalty, completely sent the keeper in the wrong direction. And look, confidence is high with him at the moment. He was there to impress today. We had the England manager there, and he wants the goals to make sure that he gets on that plane. And he was desperate to put that ball in there. It was a difficult moment. I don't know if you agree with that, Daz. It was a difficult moment because I think we were sort of like in the extra time of the first half, and it was kind of like, it was a big moment to get that penalty. So there was a lot of pressure on him, and there was a little bit of a delay before the pressure was taken. Before the penalty was taken. So, I was always confident that the big Cal was going to put that one away.
No, I agree with you, Pete. Like it was kind of looking like one of those games. The stop starty. Are Newcastle going to get into their rhythm? And it was just are we going to end up with a 0-0 here? Are Villa going to frustrate us? This is the tactic, just to delay all day here. But thankfully, well, that wasn't the case. But okay, let's get back into it. That took us up to here we are, half time. 1-0 at the break. Actually, before that, there was another goal that Wilson scored, but it was ruled out offside as well. He was offside, in fairness. That was on the 54th minute of our first half. But yeah, we could have gone into 2-0 at that stage. But then, okay, let's get into the second half. Ming, the 53rd man, Ming is pushing Miggy into the advertising board. Yeah, he hasn't won himself any favors with Newcastle fans.
You think that should have been a yellow card?
There was no real need for it. I'm not sure if it was a yellow card. It was a light enough push. It wasn't too rough either. And thankfully there was nothing wrong with Miggy. It would be, he could have got a yellow card for it. On a different ref on a different day. It would have been a yellow card, but it was a light enough kind of push as well. In fairness, if I put my Newcastle hat on for sure, oh yes, definitely send them off. But no, it was light enough. So, what did you think?
I thought it was, but there wasn't a lot in it in terms of like a massive push, but. You look at the weather, you look at the conditions that he's pushed him, he's gone down, he's gone into the advertising boards. It's endangering the player. It's not a red card, nowhere near, but it certainly. I think it could have been a yellow card. I thought it was quite lucky, to be fair. Maybe that's just me with my Newcastle hat on and protecting Miggy, but I've seen situations like that where players have been booked before, which is why I sort of asked the question. So I thought it maybe was a yellow. But just before we move on, I've got to say a huge thank you to Geordie Mick.
Geordie Mick. Cheers, Geordie Mick.
Your £10 donation. The Premier League we go. Shut up, you muppet. Love it. He's on cloud nine, and fair play to you.
I'm going to link it back to our loaded cube during the week. I'm still laughing at Jimmy's comment in a limerick. I'm still laughing at that one. Anyway, we'll move on. Let me go to carry on the game. 55 minutes. Bruno ball to Miggy, who wins the corner. Oh yeah, then the short corner from Trippier onto Miggy. Back heel by Miggy. Trips crosses it in. Wilson header down and into the goal, and then it went to VAR, and the goal was good. So that was and you know what? I forgot to do it for the first goal, but I'll have to do it for the second goal. I have to do it twice here now. Multitasking. There's Callum Wilson. That's the first goal.
Yeah.
So the second goal. So there we go. A double, a brace for Callum Wilson, and some goal as well. What did you make of that goal, Pete?
You know what? A really, really well worked corner. A really, really well worked corner. You can tell that we've been working on them and trying to do something a little bit different to keep teams guessing. And Aston Villa fell right into that trap. They were clearly not organised, not ready, not anticipating at all what we were looking to do, and it was just a really well worked corner. So I think it was Trippier into Miggy. Miggy holds the ball, little back heel. Trippier then lofts it in, and Wilson's there. For a big centre back like Mings, I tell you what, Wilson dominated him today and managed to find little pockets of space in between him. And he just found that little pocket of space, and nice. To be fair, really, really well taken. Heads the ball down into the ground, makes it really hard for the goalkeeper to save. In off the post. Lovely, lovely goal. Really well worked goal, and absolutely buzzing at it that we're finding different ways to put the ball in the net. It's really pleasing to see.
No, it is, and of course, then Callum Wilson was on a hat trick, and boy, was he looking for that hat trick today. You can't blame him. But then let's fast forward again, 58 minutes. So 2 minutes after that Wilson's goal, we had a counter attack, and Wilson brought a save from the keeper, and J7 got in on the rebound, goes to VAR again, and goal. 3-0 Newcastle at this stage. Goal for J7 in front of the Brazilian manager, and yeah, unreal. Really staking a claim for a spot in the World Cup. What do you think of that one?
I want to ask you what you think of that one, Daz. I'm going to be honest, seeing that go in the back of the net.
No, I was delighted to see him score. No, he had a really good game as well. And everyone was willing him on today. It was like, he's here to see Bruno. He's here to see Douglas Luiz. Or there's a few more he could have been keeping an eye on. But Joelinton is in the frame, so and why not? Love to see him go to the World Cup. Here's Simon with the getting in the yeah. No, there's criteria that I added to the bet I originally did not sign up to, but we'll see. I know I do want Brazil to win the World Cup. Said it again. Right. We will move on. We'll revert back to Joelinton's stats maybe at the end, Peter. I'm going to move that down because that's a good talking point. We'll fast forward on to yellow card then a couple minutes later for Joelinton, and that would mean that he's out of the game against Southampton next weekend. So then that's a talking point for us in a while as well. Maybe who comes in then? Are we looking at ASM starting, or does Shelby come in some capacity and kind of free up Bruno a bit? Or let's see how what we think of that in a while. Then on the 67th minute, Wilson passes the ball to Miguel Almirón. Miguel Almirón has a little bit of a run outside the box, top corner. Miggy, the man of wonder goals again, absolutely on fire. Miggy Almirón, and I never did the thing for Joelinton. Here's the thing. Here's the little clip for Joelinton, and I'll follow it up with Miggy's goal as well. Too many goals for me to manage today. Keep it easy. Keep it 1-0 anymore. It just makes life easier for me. It's just absolutely unreal. It was some goal though, Peter. He's going to have his own DVD of goals for the season.
Honestly, if he doesn't have 3 or 4 at least in the goal of the month for October, there's something not right. It should literally be the pick out of Miguel Almirón, because all of his goals have been something special. You can even go back to the Fulham goal where it was kind of a tap in at the back post, but the movement and the move that created the goal was still fantastic. He's just on fire at the moment, and the guy's full of confidence. And when you've got someone full of confidence, they try things they wouldn't normally try. And at 25 yards out, he cuts inside and thinks, you know what, I can hit it from here. And boy, did he hit it. And there was no keeper that was saving that. Unbelievable. To hit the ball the way he did at that distance and hit the side netting of the goal, just shows the quality of the strike. It was just absolutely fantastic. And the guy's brimming with confidence at the moment. And he sent out a message today to Callum Wilson. You can draw level with me on goals scored, but I'll just hit one like that and I'll get one ahead of you again. Callum Wilson was thinking, what do I need to do? Scored 2 goals today. He comes back with a worldie and he's still ahead of me in the goal scoring charts.
It was one of those really. And Simon has reminded me there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, right? And also make sure you hit the like button. It's one little click, done. Don't forget it, please. That really helps us out. Rightio. Actually, then we're on the mark, Pete, that you wanted to raise attention to. We're on the 70th minute mark. So what happened on the 70th minute mark?
Well, we were dominating and smashing Villa up. What was interesting is from the Villa fans. I hope Rich Sutherland wasn't in there, because at 70 minutes it looked like there was a fire alarm. Because they were exiting. You know what? Really interesting. Obviously, I'd not seen this picture till after the game. But I remember about 70 minutes, and I could hear on when I was watching the game, Newcastle fans saying, "I can see you sneaking out," and it was a really loud chant. I don't know if anyone else heard it, but I heard it, and it must have been around that 70th minute mark. And I was thinking, nah, surely not. Like, but then you just get back into watching the game. But yeah, I remember hearing that around that 70th minute mark. We can see you sneaking out. So if anyone's on the chat that was at the game, let us know. Was it on the 70th minute that Newcastle fans were singing it? I remember when I went to the Everton game a week or so ago, we were singing it to Everton fans on, I think, about 70, 80 minutes, because a lot of them got out of there early on. They didn't want to see anymore. They knew they weren't going to win the game. But yeah, interesting to see. Interesting to see the old situation from Villa fans or anyone that was there that can verify that. But Newcastle fans don't do that. We've been. I remember last season at the King Power, Leicester, 4-0 down in that game. Everyone's still there, just singing, supporting the players, backing the players. That's what we do. So if any Aston Villa fan comes to any of you on social media and questions us as a fan base, just remind them of that picture that we've just seen, and actually remind them of the games where we've been away from home, where we've got absolutely trounced and we've sang our hearts out and we supported the boys right till the end.
Pete, I didn't hear it, but all I kept hearing all day was this. It wasn't in my head. Later. Calm down. Right, let's get going. Where are we? Right, 70 men as well. Will it come off? Murphy, come on. Target, Botman, come off. Target, come on. Into the second page. Popey on the 73rd minute decided he was going to play centre midfield and came out for a while as well. Did you notice that? Where was he going at that stage? You remember that bit?
Oh yeah, he ended up taking the player down, but luckily it was offside, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he wants a goal as well. You
put that in the chat, didn't you?
Yeah, I said he wants a goal, but he's. I think he was just bored today, to tell you the truth. But anyway, we move on. The game is not over yet. It's 4-0 up, and I still have a page of notes to go. 75th minute off the bar. Murphy's cross in. Wilson header off the bar. How unlucky was he not to get his hat trick there? Jump in on any of these, Pete, as well. 77 minutes. 2 minutes later, Murphy, a thunder bastard of a shot off the post. Murphy, he's so unlucky. He gets into these great positions, and he was really unlucky not to score there again.
78. He only ever hits the woodwork, though. Even going back from last season, like he'll get to the point where he can score, and he's either the ball, left post, right post. He just can't hit the back of the net. It was a surprise he scored against Brentford, where he actually couldn't miss. But bless him, he's
really trying though.
He's in the right places.
Yeah,
that position where he picked the ball up, he didn't overthink it. Just that little nick to the side, bang, straight away. Look for that shot. He was unlucky, to be fair.
What's the chances of Murphy coming good? Maybe I need to clip this again in the future. Murphy coming good and him turning into another Miggy that Eddie Howe gets even more out of when he starts converting these chances. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe it's a stretch too far, that one. But 78 minutes, Joelinton over the bar. Everyone then was trying to get Wilson to get his hat trick. 80 minutes. Ball in from Murphy. Excellent run. I have done. Got cut out. 81st man. Bruno off. Shelby on. And that means it's another game for Shelby under his belt. So he's probably one game off getting that contract extension now as well. Shar come off. Lascelles come on. 84th minute. Joelinton header from a corner. Wilson off. Wood on. Miggy off. ASM on. Great to see ASM back. Then there was another class move. And then this will probably be the move of the season. It was a great move. Murphy to Longstaff. Joelinton back heel, ball in from Longstaff, and if Wood had connected with it, that would have been an unreal goal as well. So that was. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
move.
I ended up being annoyed. Like, why did he not get on the end of it? But he's not like he's a Fraser. he's a big, tall lad. I thought he would have got on the end of that, but that's me maybe just kind of just being demanding. We demand more goals. We want to stomp them in the ground even more than they were. But yeah, unlucky. And to be fair, he was sort of in the right areas at that time. So yeah, fair play to him. But again, what it proved is even when Wood came on, we were still looking to create chances. We were still looking to put them under pressure and score goals. And that's just brilliant to see, really.
Exactly, and that took us into full time 4-0. I think it's a lot better than any of us expected. We were probably all the run around. We were kind of maybe expecting to win, but we weren't expecting 4-0 really. But then, yeah, nice to see the lads give everyone their round of applause, and yeah, you can just see unity again and everyone marching together, and some great shots as well. I love this picture. That's a brilliant picture. Unreal picture, that one, Bruno. And yeah, he's surely cemented his place in the squad as well, the Brazilian squad. And maybe it'd be nice to see him starting as well for them. And the bit we missed out on last week is the team photo. We aren't going to miss out on it this week because I had it in the system. I never used it last week, but here we are again. Everyone assuming their positions. Eddie Howe always stays there. Miggy's always in the center. It's love it. Never get sick of seeing those pictures.
I always see that Murphy's always got his mouth wide open. You got Mad Dog Tyndall that's always got the biggest grin. I love the security guy in white wearing black. He's just become a legend for me. Like, he's got the best job in the world. He's a security guy, so he's in control of all the transfers and seeing them in and out. He's got the relationship with all the players. He must know all the ins and outs that are going on within the club, and he just seems like a top guy as well. He's been there for years now. But yeah, I'll keep forgetting his name, but he is a legend, top bloke. Love it.
We're going to get him on the show. But yeah, then I got this little clip. I like this one as well on Miggy loving life, and why wouldn't he? Pete, we've got a million talking points to go with. Will I just throw them at you, or Anthony, you want to bring up first?
Yeah. Look, I've got I've got just some comments that I've starred. Yeah. Stephen King came in and said, "Don't jinx it," with regards to the Champions League music. He said that quite early on. Interesting one. A talking point, really, I want to get your thoughts on. And this is probably one that you had down anyway. But Would I Eat There said, listening to the game, it sounded like Villa or Vile wanted to outdo is for shithousery, constant stop-start. You touched on that earlier when you were kind of reviewing the game, in that it was very much stop-start in the first half. Do you think that was a clear tactic from Villa to really slow down our momentum?
It did seem like that in that first half, because the first time Martinez went down, I thought, okay, is he really injured here? But he did get a nice knock to the head from Ming's knee, and it didn't help that my stream crashed as well, and I seen him go off about 5 times on repeat while I was trying to get it back working again. So that was very frustrating for me. Yet it did seem like then Bunde went down as well. It did seem like a bit of a tactic. Now Martinez was genuine, and he came off like so that was fair enough. So then I kind of relaxed my thoughts on that. But it did seem like, and it just like we weren't going to get into a bit of a rhythm. And it's probably just as well we got that goal before halftime, because coming into the second half they would have really tried to park the bus then and gone to town on the time wasting. But didn't matter in the end.
No, it didn't. And look, I think that was part of their tactics, is to really slow it down and slow the momentum, not just of the players but the fans, because we started, the atmosphere, the war flags, the flags around the stadium. It was a real buzz there, and I do think they tried to stem the flow a little bit, but we were just too good for them. And I think by the end of the first half they realised that the game was done. in my opinion, from their body language, everything. There's a couple of players from Villa that I'll talk about in a bit that epitomised the fact that I thought that they'd given up. But yeah, like you said, we've got to expect that with certain teams now, because we are massive and we are fucking class. I keep reiterating, we are fucking class, and with that, we're going to have teams that are going to come and try and do different types of tactics. We saw it, Palace, Bournemouth did it, but we came through that today, and that was really pleasing to see. Like you said, you know, it didn't even matter. It didn't matter in the end, because we rose above all of that shit.
No, exactly, Pete. All right, I'm going to throw some things at you. All right, let's talk about Wilson first. Are you putting him in the England team? I know the answer already, but how could you not put him in the England team? Like he's a different option to Kane. I'd actually play him ahead of Kane myself. Keane, I think I would call him a second. Kane, obviously, but I'd put him ahead of Kane. But that's just me. He has to go to the World Cup. He'd be ridiculous not to bring. As long as he stays fit right before it, he should definitely bring him.
110%. That was a performance that basically he wanted to let Southgate know that I'm good enough to be in this squad. Now, he talks very well. He's very professional, talks very well. And some people can talk a big game and not produce it. Jack Grealish is one of them. And we'll talk about who he talked up in the last season. And there you go. Exactly, Daz. I'll take that comment off. There you go. You know, people like Grealish and there's a number of others that talk a good game, but they don't back it up. Callum Wilson backs it up every single time he steps on the pitch. Now, he might not score every game, but I tell you what, his professionalism and his performances and the way he supports his team, if he can't score the goals, he's second to none. If we're going to the World Cup and we're in a position where we need someone that could potentially nick us a goal later on in the game, someone that could, you know, we're looking to hold on to a result, someone that could hold the ball up, make runs in behind, make it difficult. He is the guy. You know, Tammy Abrahams can't do that. Ivan Toney's okay at that, but I think Callum Wilson's better. And I think his experience right now is exactly what we need. And Callum Wilson can score all type of goals. I just think he is the guy to take to the World Cup. And I genuinely think that Gareth Southgate came today to see Callum Wilson. And I don't think he'll be the only one that he would have been impressed with in a Newcastle shirt today.
Oh, you think it's Dan Burn?
Well, Dan Burn would definitely be one of them. I think he would have been massively impressed with Dan Burn. And to be fair, our sponsor, Simon, mentioned the same. Big Dan Burn for England World Cup squad with Trippier, Pope and Wilson. You know what, Simon? I would not disagree with that at all. I think you're absolutely spot on. And we've talked about Burn before. You know, whether you want him as a centre-back or a left-back, I don't think it really matters. But I genuinely believe that he deserves to be looked at a lot closer, and I hope Gareth Southgate does that. There are others, and I think one or two have talked about this. I don't know if I'm going off topic. I don't know if you wanted to go anywhere else with this, Daz, but there was a comment in the chat earlier on.
Did it suggest Sean Longstaff?
Yes.
Because I was thinking this about playing. I said, if I say this tonight, people are going to laugh at me. But I think he's playing brilliant this last couple of weeks, and he's getting back to where he was.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that Sean Longstaff's going to get in the World Cup squad. He's not. But I think post World Cup, where you're going to probably get players that may move on, players will have played their last tournament, and Southgate or should naturally look in a different direction. I think he would have come away today, not saying, right, in my next squad, Sean Longstaff's in there, but he would have come away thinking, he's an option.
Give him a call up and just test him out. Yeah. If
he continues that up until the turn of the year, so if we get into January time and he's still performing like that and we're still picking up the points that we are, I don't think that would be out of the realms of possibility that he would be considered. We are very light with centre midfielders. Calvin Phillips can barely get fit. He's clearly got issues with his shoulder. This is the second shoulder surgery he's had in under a year. That is a massive concern because you can't mess around with your shoulder. And if you continue to dislocate it, they put a metal rod in there, you can no longer play football. I know 2 players that have been in that position. So you can't bank on that type of player. Declan Rice, yes. Jordan Henderson, what is he now, 32, 33?
He's too old now.
He's not, even at that age, he could still probably play for England, but he's not playing well at all. So we're now looking in different kind of stratosphere. Jude Bellingham should be starting for England. No doubt about it. But who have you then got around that? There maybe are a couple of options that have been and gone. Sean Longstaff is definitely in that conversation if he continues to play like that. Because I thought he was very, very good today in the role that he was assigned to play. And I'm glad that you thought the same. And there's a couple of others in the chat today that thought the same as well. So I don't think we're overly wrong for thinking that he might well be in the future thinking of being a good manager.
Exactly. It's not like, oh, he should definitely be in it now. You know, like we are saying for England, it's like in the future he should be given a chance if he continues. Yeah, I'm in the same line of thinking, Pete, as that. We stick with the any more comments or questions, Pete?
Oh, to be fair, there's quite a few. Well, Yano's mentioned. He's mentioned a number of really good talking points, but he's put on there. Let's be honest for a minute. They were a poor side, and the late replacements show that our backups are a long way off what's needed. I think the backups are a valid point in my opinion, but I think we made them look a poor side.
It's our constant press and as Trippy said in his interview as well, they're just so fit. Eddie Howe has them on fire. You know, it's like I just hope they can continue, keep it going. And we don't want the break to come for the World Cup, and they are going to be training hard out in Saudi Arabia and stuff. Those that aren't gone to the World Cup, but it might be no harm as well. Just that little break, because it will be difficult to maintain the effort they're doing today. And then last week they gave everything in the tank, and this week as well. And they didn't need it towards the end, but they're still going. They still want those extra goals, you know. So on the analyst point about we do need a stronger bench. I thought the guys that came off the bench today that didn't put a foot wrong either. They didn't have an awful lot to do, apart from they're playing for their place. The back now, though, it's so hard to get back into that team now. So like, it's probably just lucky enough for the likes of Shelby and ASM that Joelinton is going to miss that next game, so they'll have their chance to prove themselves if it's those that get the nod.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, you know, I think it's sometimes quite easy to say, you know, they were rubbish, they were crap, they're not a good side. Yeah, they might well not be, but we made them look that way. I think sometimes we need to praise our players for what we did. You know, we talked about how high we pressed them, how we outworked them. You know, we constantly put them under pressure for the whole 93 minutes. We did not let them rest at all. So I think sometimes it's important that we recognise them as well. And just on the Yano's made some great points already that I have starred. There's a number of people's comments that I haven't put on there yet because I've starred them because they're great talking points that I'll put out there for Daz and myself and everyone else to talk about. But Yano's made a point that I just want to shout out. Guys, can you please give a shout out to my son Ben, who is competing in the British Bodybuilding Championships tomorrow. So, best of luck, Ben.
Good luck, Ben.
Hope you absolutely smash it and win it. And obviously, Lisa has said good luck, Ben, as well. So yeah, fingers crossed for you. And Yana, let us know how he gets on.
Cool. Yeah, do yeah, keep us informed. You know what, Pete? Maybe we'll go to the table. No, we always like looking at the table these days for some bizarre reason. Here it is. Top 4 mags are there sitting pretty in fourth spot. And as you mentioned, Pete, that for a time there, I know Richie had it in our own chat. I think it was around halftime we were sitting in third spot with Tottenham were behind, I think, at that stage. But yeah, so top four, we'll be happy with that. Chelsea lost today, of course. I've just seen the scores. I haven't read much about them yet. But yeah, so that puts it, even though they have a game in hand, that puts a nice gap, because we've a better goal difference as well at the moment. Liverpool is 1-1 now, is it? Liverpool and Leeds.
Half time, or I think the second half may have started, but 1-1. I think Salah scored the equaliser. I've not got the game on, so I'm not keeping an eye on it. To be honest, I don't really care. But I think it's still 1-1. But what looks really, really good about that is the gap that we're starting to build with some of the teams below us. Fulham, who were in 7th place, they drew again today. You got Brighton. They had a brilliant win against Chelsea, but still only on 18 points. Liverpool on 17. We're creating a nice little gap there for teams that likely going to be in the kind of competition with us. Liverpool is a certain. Man United have got West Ham tomorrow. West Ham are another team that we talked about as being likely to challenge us for that top 7 position. They're right down there. They go to Old Trafford tomorrow. That's not an easy game. So at least one of those teams are going to drop points, or both of them will. So that as well plays into our hands quite nicely. So and obviously we wiped the floor with Villa today. So they were the ones that were in the shop window and being talked about. And again, every win that we get, we're just creating a bigger and bigger gap, which gives us breathing space, and when we've got breathing space, we can go out and express ourselves. So great to see. It really is. And look, we're one of 3 teams to have only lost 1 game this season.
No, exactly, Pete. And long may it continue. Bring out Southampton now next weekend. The dream. Did
you expect us to have scored 24 goals after 13 games this season?
No, if you told me that, I would have told you, God, Isak is some player. He must have got a couple of hat tricks, and Wilson stayed fit and played every game, is playing out of his skin as well. Not that Miggy Almirón would score every game and be scoring worldies every game, and our defense is just like a brick wall. No, I would not have believed that. No, I was expecting us to be maybe where Brighton or Fulham are, maybe something like that. Not up as high as 4th spot, but it is early days. No point getting ahead of ourselves. No point playing Champions League music or anything like that. We'll concentrate on game by game, day by day, and we'll see where we are come the end of the season. But look at European football is starting to look more and more likely as the weeks go. So hopefully keep on track, and the injury. I think once the injuries, we don't get injuries to key players, there's always a chance.
Yeah.
Let's move away from the table, so Pete, and let's get back to maybe we'll throw a talking point in, because before we leave the ratings to last. Some people love the ratings, some people hate them. We've talked about Wilson and going to the World Cup. Let's talk about this other man for the World Cup. Let's bring up some stats. Let's talk about Joelinton. Here he is.
1 second, I'll take the comment off. Look,
talk us through this.
Yeah, look, Joelinton's game by numbers: 89% pass accuracy, 66 touches, 7 times possessions won, 5 duels. 4 shots, 3 aerial duels won, 2 top shots on target, chances created, tackles made, 1 goal. And they say, to tell you what to do. And they are absolutely right. If anything's proven that he should be deserving to go to the World Cup in that Brazilian squad, today was that performance. I think early on, it looked like he was a little bit nervous. I think he misplaced a couple of passes, and it looked like he was trying too hard. But once he settled into the game, he just bullied that midfield. Douglas Luiz, who was also in the shop window for Brazil, he just made him look average. That midfield was just absolutely bullied from start to finish. The way he wins back possession, the way in which he just distributes the ball, getting into the box, getting forward. It's just everything you need. He's kind of like the all-round midfield, box-to-box midfielder that you need. And, we've had this conversation before. You've got someone in that squad like Fred, who plays for Man United, and he can barely get in the Man United team. And, I speak to friends that support Man United and who actually supported him early on his career at Man U. And now they're just like, he's finished. So why risk taking a player that could be a liability like that when you've got a ready-made player, a big, strong midfielder that can do everything, score goals, battle, win tackles, can run all day for you? Why not have that in your locker in the squad? And he's 24, 25, I think he's 25 years old. So he's got room to grow and build and develop. But that for me is ideal. And you know what? It's ideal for us. You imagine Joelinton going off to the internationals and playing with the likes of Neymar's and Bruno at international level and all those top level players, and has a genuine chance, because I think they're going in as favourites to lift the World Cup. Like, that can only be a good thing for Newcastle. Can only be a good thing for Newcastle. So I hope, because there was the picture out there with Bruno, I think took the Brazilian manager to dinner at the Brazilian steakhouse in Newcastle. I hope that it wasn't that conversation about Bruno being in the squad. It was about convincing him to give Joelinton an opportunity. That's what I hope that conversation was, and that meal was about yesterday. And boy, did Joelinton back that up with a top level performance.
No, he did, and look, I do hope he gets his wish to be in the Brazil squad as well. What was I going to say? And he can play in a few different positions as well. He's not limited to just one position, so he'd be good kind of utility kind of player as well for Brazil. But there is an awful lot of talent in Brazil as well. So we'll see. See what he makes. He didn't do his chances any harm anyway by turning up today and putting in a superb performance. Right.
So you're not quite picking out tattoo designs yet.
No. But I was going to put up a background of me in the tattoo parlor, but no, no, not yet. I've a while to go yet. He has to get in the squad. They have to win the World Cup. He has to be either top goal scorer or player of the tournament. Then we'll talk. Rightio. Sorry again to the Villa fans. Going home, stopping on the time, and going home. But yeah, that was their day today. Better days ahead for them, I'm sure, with Emery coming in, and he should turn them around a bit. They can't be as bad as what we've seen today. Did I have more talking points? I did, and we have ratings. Do you want to go for? Actually, first of all, just remind people, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, here I'll do the Chris Hall one.
I was just about to click it as well.
I know you are.
So glad you got there first. So glad you got there first. Top man.
You know what to do.
Yeah,
follow the sign.
Daz, we've got over 270 in the chat right now. Everyone, if you're watching the show, just click that button. It just takes a second, and I think there's at least one or two new to the chat that I haven't seen before. One of them, the Dugan family.
I've seen the Dugan family before. Yeah.
Welcome back. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button. There's one or two others earlier on up on the chat that I've not seen in the chat before. So great to have you on there. And if you haven't, just click that subscribe button. Just takes a second. We've had in the last week or so. I think we've gained another 30, 40 subscribers. I think it was another 10 in the last 2 or 3 days. So yeah, come and join Loaded Mad. We're now well under 400 away from hitting that 5k marker. So yeah, come and join the family, because we're building, and we've got lots more content to come in the next few weeks, and of course over the World Cup months as well.
And of course, we also appreciate those who have hit the subscribe button already. And if you'd like to become a member, you are a member already. If you by hitting that join button, it's $1.99 a month. You get into the members prize draws. But thanks for sticking with us. We do appreciate it, and we try to put on as many shows as we can as possible, and try and bring you the best guests that we can as well. Right, let us move on. We go to the ratings, Pete, or you want to go for questions?
We can. Well, I'll come back to Yano. There's lots of others, but we can talk about this because we'll just talk about Joelinton. Yano said J7 is going to be a massive miss the next game. As you mentioned before, he got a yellow card too. He won't be available for the Southampton game. He will be a miss, in my opinion, no doubt. But we do have Shelby back now. He's played a couple of games that can slot into that midfield in a deeper role, which may allow Bruno to play further forward. As well as that, we had the magic man, Mr. Allen Saint-Maximin back. He had a 5-6 minute spell in the game. So we are getting other players back. So, you look at the squad and the way we play, there's no reason why we can't go to Southampton. There he is. Legend.
The new hairstyle, letting it out. For steering today. But business at the front, party at the back. That's how I describe his new hairstyle. Yeah.
He's always one to build talking points. Is Allen Saint-Maximin. But yeah, I just think we've still got enough to go and beat Southampton next weekend. And you know what? I'd want Joelinton fresh and ready for the Chelsea game. That sign-off game before the World Cup, that would be a fantastic one to sign off on, for sure.
Yeah, and then we also have the cup game as well against Palace to look forward to. God, we're running out of games. Then we're going to miss Newcastle games. I know we have World Cup coming out of our ears and potentially 4 games a day, but we just miss Newcastle games. But yeah, we'll be scouting. There'll be loaded scouting going on during the World Cup. And if you see anyone as well, let us know. We'll keep an eye on who we should be keeping an eye on. Right, let us go to the ratings, Pete. And it should be quicker tonight. There's just the two of us. Yeah. And Richie did provide his ratings to me earlier. He gave everyone 9.5. So nice one for that, Richie. Thanks for that. He knows what I mean by that.
I think the forfeit's in the post. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. hashtag pie arse for that one. Right, let's go for Popey. Popey didn't have much to do today. Had that one little save against Bueno on the 11th minute. I'm gonna give him an 8. He did try and come out and play in the middle of the park, so an 8 for doing nothing.
Yeah, I'll give him that as well. Had hardly anything to do, but again, the couple of collections from crosses in, nice and comfortable, nice and calm and collected, takes the pressure off the defence. Really, really good. And you don't want to give him a too low a rating just because he didn't have much to do. But yeah, I'll go with you. Give him an 8. Cool. Fair play to him.
Okay, I've gone pretty similar across the back line here. Trippier, I'm giving him an 8.5. It's solid. It didn't put a foot wrong. Leading by example, crosses in, little nice touches with Miggy, link up with Miggy, and the routines that for the corners that Eddie Howe has drilled into them. I'm gonna get 8.5.
I'm gonna give Trippier a 9 today. I thought he was unplayable on that right hand side. I thought he was so good, particularly today, more in attacking areas. Getting the ball forward, crosses into the box, the well-worked corner that led to Callum Wilson's second goal. He really kind of epitomised our attacking emphasis. So very much, again, a captain's performance led by example. I love that. He made a point of going over to Lascelles and giving him the armband back when he came on. Just that level of that teamwork and solidarity, and kind of it lets him know that he's valued and part of the squad, and just little things that he did. But in terms of his performance was very, very good defensively and in attack. So 9 for me.
9 for you, no problem. Move on. Next we're up to Shar. I'm going to give Shar a 8.75, and his passing ability again, solid as always. Just class. Again, followed on from last week. Unbelievable. Superman, 8.75.
Again, I think I've got to go Fabian Shaw. I've got to go I don't want to do the points, so I'm going to stick with the 9. I give Shaw a 9. I thought he was tremendous today. I really do think he was good. Another really, really good performance from Fabian Schär. I really liked his use of the ball today. The way he used the ball at his feet was very, very good. Defensively, he's become really, really solid anyway. I think it was a game where he had far less to do defensively, so it was about what he could do on the ball to bring things forward. His switch ball play was very, very good. He just commands the ball in all situations. He almost plays as a right back in long parts of the game. The way where he receives the ball from is where Trippier, you'd expect him to receive the ball. But yeah, very, very good today. Fabian Schär 9.
Make us not happy with my 8.75. He never is.
It's already started.
Right. Let's move on to Botman. We've done Superman. Let's do Botman. Great again, showing the great passing ability, solid as always. I always try and differentiate between Botman and Schär, so I'm going to give him an 8.5. For Botman. He came off earlier as well, not because we were coasting, and Eddie Howe wanted to give him a bit of a break. So yeah, 8.5.
I'm giving Botman the same score as Fabian Schär. I'll give him a 9 for exactly the same reason. Defensively, they didn't really have too much to do. They had a few moments in the early parts of the first half. I think when Leon Bailey was creating a couple of opportunities down their left-hand side, they had a little bit of defensive work to do and handled it really well. But Botman, for me, was so good in bringing the ball out. There was a number of times, particularly in the first half, where he would drive forward with the ball, where there wasn't that simple side option to Schär or to Burn on. So what he does, he just gets the ball and he just drives forward into midfield and then plays that pass into midfield. And he did it a couple of times, which really opened up the attack. And that's the difference between having a Cody and a Tarkowski or a Lascelles that are just defenders that will just defend the ball, win the header, just defend the ball, clear it out. Actually, we've got players that can do that in Fabian Schär and Sven Botman, but they can also bring the ball forward and start attacks for the team. And those guys epitomised that in everything that we did today across the whole time they were on the pitch. So they both equally deserve the same score for that because they were brilliant.
Actually, I saw a picture there. I don't have it in the system, but someone had to put up. It was the emblem, the logo on the Rolls Royce, but it was actually Botman. So it was a good one.
Find that. That's class.
Yeah. It could have been on. Instagram. If I see it again, Pete, I'll send it on to you. Right. Let's move on to Big Dan Burn. Big Dan Burn in front of the England manager, Gareth Southgate. Put himself in the picture. Has been playing. I had how many weeks did I say about the lack of pace stuff? I've forgotten about that now. It's just that place is his. When Botman went off, he moved into the centre and Target went to left back. I'm giving Big Dan Burn an 8.5. Didn't do anything wrong for me.
Yeah, I've got to give him the same. I've got to give Dan Burn the same as the others because that defense was just so good. So I have to give him a 9 because I've given the others a 9. There was only a couple of times really where he was outpaced, but for other people, being outpaced might well be a problem, but for Dan Burn, his recovery, even when he gets outpaced, is so good. He always gets back into position, and he always gets back in order to be in a position to defend that particular attack. So he proved it at Old Trafford. He proved it again against the likes of Gordon against Everton. He proved it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He did it again today. So you're absolutely right. I 100% agree with you, Daz. Like the pace thing for me is a non-factor anymore. It really isn't because he's proven that actually, even if they do get beyond him, he's got the ability and the know-how and the experience to get back in and cover himself. And it's not ever causing a problem in which we suffer from it because he's either getting back and winning the ball or getting back into position. So he's standing up the defender to not allow him to get any. The attacker to stop him to get any further forward. So yeah, I'm really impressed with him. And look, you know, I know you haven't got your England head on, Daz, because you're supporting Brazilian
head.
But for me, I'm looking at Dan Burn. I'm thinking, right, we play 3 at the back for England. He can play in that role and do it very, very well. If you want to play 4 at the back, you can play left back or centre back. So what you've got that versatility there. And what you've got height, someone that can win a header, big and strong in the air, decent on the ball as well, can bring it out of attack and give it to those players that can do the job. It's a no-brainer for me. It really is a no-brainer.
Nice one. Cheers, no, as well. Right, let's move on. And we've talked. Okay, now next up is Bruno, and I'll get the lovely picture again of Bruno. Yeah, so Bruno again. We said the Brazilian manager is in town again. The through balls, cutting out the danger as well, playing both roles in midfield, unbelievable, passing, unbelievable. Bruno is getting a 9 from me. You know what, I did say before, I think it was yesterday, I said it in our chat, I'd love to see Bruno score a goal, and we'd have that, you know, the baby celebration one. But maybe it's coming against Southampton. Of course, he scored against Southampton last season. The back heel goal he got. So maybe that's where he'd scored there. But Bruno's getting a 9 for me. He's always class. You come to expect it now, though.
Oh, definitely. Bruno gets I think he was 3rd in my list for man of the match, so he gets a 9.5 for me. And it's really, really interesting that you talked about the potential of getting a goal because he was very close to doing so. And I don't know if you saw, but I watched the goal from Joelinton. It was Bruno that actually wins the ball just on the edge of our own box. He wins the ball back and then travels forward and starts the attack. And what I love about that is that you don't really see Bruno again after that because we attack. He moves the ball forward, and then we look at. I think we create it on the left-hand side. The ball comes in. Wilson shoots. Then Joelinton gets the rebound. But when it shows the angle from the Gallagate to the pitch, what you see is where Joelinton puts the ball in, Bruno ends up right next to him. Pretty much right next to him, and it just goes to show the distance. So he started the move on his own on the edge of his own box, and he then sprints with the team to get it to the other end of the pitch, and he's right there at the point where if Joelinton wasn't there, Bruno wouldn't have been far behind to put the ball in the net. And he just epitomizes everything about Newcastle United: the press, the hustle, the kind of the fight, the spirit in the team. He just leads by example. He is such a special player. You know, we talked about, and we did the show a couple of weeks ago about, you know, who is the best midfielder to ever play for Newcastle United, and a number of us put Bruno Guimaraes at the top. This is why he's at the top, because it's not just about his ability on the ball, and it's not just about the goals and assists that he scores. It's everything else that makes him the complete midfielder. I don't think I've seen a more complete midfielder play for Newcastle United in my time supporting the club. And it's games like today where he just proves it. He didn't get a goal or an assist, but without him, we wouldn't tick the way we did. We wouldn't dominate possession. We had 60% possession today. We wouldn't have dominated that possession the way we did if he wasn't in the team. I just love the guy, honestly. And I said it to you boys last night. If anyone hasn't seen the 30-minute interview that he puts on with the Brazilian presenter inside St. James's Park, some people say they saw it on BT Sport. I saw it on Sky. It's a 30-minute interview. I think part 1, someone tweeted a YouTube link to me earlier on today. Part 1 is on YouTube already. So if you haven't looked at it, it's on YouTube. I imagine part 2 will be there. It's half an hour. I think obviously part 1's 15 minutes. But the way in which he talks about Newcastle, the way in which he talks about how he's moved in his career, honestly, you just can't help but just like warm to him. He's just he sounds like such a genuine, lovely human being. He's just amazing.
we were talking about this last night, Pete, and I thought I saw something different. So I didn't see what you've been talking about. I saw him being interviewed by some guy. It was a Premier League show or something like that. But they're mainly talking about FIFA. And since you talked about his sprinting there, his sprinting is the worst in his stats, and so maybe they need to up that as well and get his rating up there. But again, because I know he loves a bit of FIFA. Does Bruno? Right, we'll move on. Bruno, we're going to the next player from Newcastle to get a call up to England squad, Sean Longstaff. Sean Longstaff, we mentioned the lob after about 5 minutes. If that would hit, unreal. He might have been going to the World Cup that got in. But I'm giving Sean Longstaff an 8.75. I thought he was brilliant today, and and I said it last week. We always talk about Bruno, but he does that. He covers the yards. He's playing really, really well for us. And all credit to him. Potentially was on the way out with us a long time ago, but he's really turned it around again under Eddie Howe.
He has, and look, we talked about Sean Longstaff earlier on in the show, and he's really proven his worth in the team at the moment. He does all the stuff that you don't see watching the game. You see the ones that make the difference and the standouts, but he does all the doggy work in the team. He just covers every blade of grass. His distribution's good. Most of the time, there's 1 or 2 times where he could be a little bit quicker with it, but that's him developing his game. But on the whole, his distribution is good. But it's his battling, it's his ability to press and win the ball back high up the pitch. In little pockets with Bruno and Joelinton when they go hunting. Willock's in there as well. When they go hunting for the boarding packs, he is in and amongst that. And the amount of times I've seen him over the last number of weeks where he wins the ball back in really dangerous positions against us, and he wins the ball back and starts attacks off the back of that is really, really impressive. And he seems so settled and happy in this team. Some people don't like him. And everyone's entitled to that, but I'm seeing a much better player playing for Newcastle than Sean Longstaff, and that's why I think he'll definitely be added to that pool of players of consideration for England after the World Cup.
No, fair enough. Cool. What did you give him there, Pete? What was the score?
I gave him. I talked about him so much. I didn't even give him a score. I'm going to give him I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9.
Cool. At least he didn't do like Keith Roll and get off the stream, and then you have to come back to give you a rating. That was funny in the way it is. You're all having the big debate. What did he say? Did he say something? And then he comes back on. But good old roller. Right, let's move on to Joe Willock. Joe Willock for me, I'm gonna go. He does put in a shift. I'm gonna give him an 8.25. I just really want Willock to score. I think if Willock scores, it we'll see a different Willock going forward. But he does do a job for us, and I'm not going to criticize him in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to give him 8.25.
Willock, I'll give an 8.5 today. I think he's playing well, but I just think the other midfielders are giving a little bit more in terms of performance. I think there just seems to be something missing in his game, and I don't quite know what it is, but there's just something slightly missing. Maybe it's the fact that he doesn't score any goals, or he's not getting any assists in the last couple of games. He did against Fulham, and he looked a real complete player. Maybe it's that, and he's maybe not getting himself as far forward as he would like. He was clearly disappointed coming off the pitch. Someone else mentioned it in the chat earlier. He looked disappointed, like visibly. I thought Joelinton would come off, if I'm honest, because he was on a yellow card, and I thought they'd keep Willock on the pitch. But I've got a feeling that they're looking at Willock to play the Palace game. I think they want Willock to play the Palace game. So I think they're managing his workload to ensure that he plays the full 90 minutes in that game in the Cup. That's just my opinion. But something quite missing, but still a good performance. 8.5.
5-5. Cool. I'm laughing at Geordie 2 for life. The way he's got a motion going there, a little revolution to get 50 likes. Thinking that I'll get this to at 50 likes. Nah, not a chance. Go 50,000 subscribers, Geordie 2 for life. Then we'll talk. Right. Let's move on to Miggy. Miggy, running. The press. He's just every week, never stops. Even was it like something like the 85th man? He was sprinting everywhere again. The commentary team were talking about it. He just never stops. He's absolutely unreal. And his goal today, and another goal of the goal of the month contender, will be in there for the goal of the month. I'm giving him, and I feel harsh giving him this, but I'm giving him a 9. I'm giving him the same as Bruno.
Okay, so I'm giving Miggy, and so the only time I'm going to do this today, I'm going to give him a 9.8. Miggy was outstanding today. He was so good, and you know, I almost find myself thinking or expecting that, you know, this is going to be the game where he might drop off and not have a good performance or kind of go back into old ways. And he's not. He just seems to be getting better and better or more confident. His play, his control on the ball, you know, his movements. He's always looking to get in behind because he knows Trippier and Bruno will find him. He's just infectious in terms of what he gives to the rest of his team. He is a nightmare for the opposition. They must hate playing against him. And you know, I think Sean Casey tweeted me earlier, and he said, you know, Ashley Young got roasted today, and he did. And I'll you know, obviously we had him in the combined team of the
controversial.
It was, but if you watch the show back,
yeah,
me and Chris really tussled with it.
And you have to compromise. You're like, okay, in fairness, there should really be 10 or 11 players from Newcastle in that squad, but you know, you've also got opposition fans on. How you can't do a combined 11 and not have any of the opposition team in it. Like, that's not going to work. Even if you have not Forest, you have to throw someone in there.
You've got to have at least one. So that's the thing. Like me and Chris, like when Martinez was in, we're like, okay, we'll give you that one because then we're getting Shaw and Botman, and it's like, okay, we'll give you Young because we're going to have Alan Maximin or we're going to have Callum Wilson. It's one of them ones. But look, if you're giving me Burn or Young, Burn all day. If you're giving me Martinez or Pope all day. It's one of them ones. But he got absolutely roasted today, and you know, Rich Sutherland talked about Young being their best player in recent weeks and how good he was, but he was dreadful today. But that was because of how good that Miggy Almirón was. He was outstanding, never stopped, always kept him running, always kept him thinking. And that goal, wow, that goal is just a player full of confidence. As I said, to hit that side netting with a strike like that, no keeper saving that. Doesn't matter how good you are.
And you know, no, another thing linked into just the combined, like imagine if he were demanding, no, you want 10 or 11 Newcastle players in there, right? Who else? What other channel is going to come on the show then? You know, be realistic as well. Yeah, that's a compromise.
We're trying to make it a weekly feature, and we're like literally saying, no, all your team is shit. All of our players. Now, in reality, that's what we think, but actually we've got to open it up and be respectful to some of their players as well. So
I look forward to it going forward. Some of these could get really heated, I think, in the future. Now that you know as well that there's going to be pressure coming on from the fan base. Why did you not do this? Why did you not stick to your guns? Yeah, so.
You're the one. The ones I'm looking forward to is Chelsea in a week or so when we do the Chelsea away days.
Boogeyman. The boogeyman's coming for us.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. But on top of that, I think when Dan Lawless comes on from West Ham, he's not going to negotiate with us at all. So there's going to be some right talking points in there, some disagreements, shall we say? But no, you're right in what you said. We know that, and that's why we kind of just put that out there. But yeah, absolutely roasted by Miggy. Miggy was top class.
Maybe keep it towards the end of the show so that no one just walks off, because that could happen. I kind of hope it does. It'll just be great TV. Anyway,
you just want to clip it. That's why.
Yeah, I can see the subs growing with the content like that. Let me see. Let's move on to J7. Absolutely solid, a beast all through the game. Got his goal, deserved his goal in front of the Brazilian manager. Deserves to be in the look-in for the Brazil squad for the World Cup. I'd love to see him going to the World Cup as well. Tattoo or no tattoo, I want to see him go to the World Cup. And yeah, I'm going to give Joelinton a 9. Same as Miggy, same as Bruno.
Yeah, for me, same as Miggy. I think I put 9.8. 9.8 for me for Joelinton. But a fantastic performance. He was a bully to their midfield. Didn't give them an inch. Won the ball back well. Controlled the ball well. As I say, after the first few minutes of it being a little bit nervous, you could tell he opened up into the game and just showed what it was all about, and really kind of, just completely out-bullied and outplayed the Aston Villa midfield, and it was so good, so pleasing to see him get on the score sheet. And you could tell what it meant to him. You could tell what it meant to him, the emotion that he showed. He knew he was in the shop window today, and I just hope and pray that he makes that World Cup squad. I really do, because I think that's going to take him onto another level, just within his confidence, playing with those type of players. And I think it could be a massive plus for us at Newcastle when he comes back.
And you know what? Even if he doesn't make it into the squad, he should be know that he did everything he could to get into it. Now he put in. He didn't let himself down. He's been playing really well. From where he was like before Eddie Howe came in to where he is now, absolutely what a complete turnaround. Okay. Let us move on to the man that brought us 2 goals. In front of Gareth Southgate, he did it today. The first goal, the penalty, calm head from the spot, no emotion, just lethal from the spot. And the goal from the header from the little back heel from Miggy, the corner routine, Trippier crossed it, and Wilson the header down into the back of the net. And then also the potential 2 or 3 more chances he had of getting the hat-trick. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. But I think the consolation prize would be a place on the plane to the World Cup. I think he'd be happy with that. And for me, Wilson is getting a 10. A 10 for me from Callum Wilson today.
We're in full agreement, Daz, because he is my 10 out of 10. Callum Wilson. The complete striker's performance. Got his 2 goals, obviously a penalty, the first one, but a really well taken header for the second. But it was the way in which he bullied Tyrone Mings. He bullied Ezri Konsa. He just made them look average. It wasn't only last year. We said on away days that Konsa was linked to being in the England squad alongside Dan Burn, and rightly so, the way they were playing. He made them look average. He made them look really like lower end Premier League defenders today. And I thought Mings was a disgrace. I'll talk about that in a second. I thought Mings was an absolute disgrace in his performance today and his attitude. But Wilson made him that way. He made him give up quite early on in the game. And Wilson was out to really prove a point to Gareth Southgate today. And he proved that 150%. Just everything, the hold-up play, the link play, the winning in behind, the winning headers and flick-ons, the bullying of the centre-backs and not letting them get their own way, winning free kicks. He just had everything you would want in a striker. Someone like Alan Shearer. Shearer's been talked about whether he's going to be on Match of the Day tonight in the chat. If someone like Alan Shearer would be looking at Callum Wilson and say, you know what, that's the type of performance that I used to put in for Newcastle United when we were there chasing the Champions League football. And you can really tell, England aside, you can really tell with Callum Wilson at 30 years old, before his career's out, he wants to play European football. He'll either want to play in the Europa League or he wants to play in the Champions League. He wants to show that he can play at that level. So I think he's really hungry to prove that he can play at that level, that elite level, playing at European standard. So I think this is going to be a really good thing to keep him hungry, even after the World Cup, and to keep him scoring goals for Newcastle. Brilliant, just spot on.
If Shearer is at match day tonight, I imagine he will put out a plea as well for Wilson to be in. And just as well as that, I was listening to Pod on the Tyne, and the lads made comment that Wilson, he's all the media he's done this week, he's kind of asking people, ask me the England question, he's put it in people's thoughts. It's like Inception. Yeah. Get it in there. Get it in Gareth Southgate's head. Probably knew he was going to turn up as well today. So yeah, it couldn't have asked for a better week the way it's going for him. So he's, and again, like Joelinton, and he can't do any more. He's done as much as he can. If he keeps continuing into the next game and stays injury free for the next month. More hopefully, then he has to be in the reckoning for sure.
Do you think, in your own opinion, do you think he'll go?
Yeah, I do.
You think he'll get called up? Because I do. I think he'll get called up for the England squad. I really do, and I think he'll 100% deserve it. And what kind of solidifies my thoughts in that is because of exactly what you just said. You're absolutely spot on. All the media stuff, he's probably been saying, because he does his own podcast, mention the England thing for me. I think this week's podcast in the build up to the game was about can Callum Wilson be in the England squad? He's had interviews all over the place. Even Sky Sports, he had an interview. He had a little clip that I watched the other day.
Planned.
It would have been planned. No doubt about it.
He's not stupid. He's a smart cookie, Callum Wilson.
Would that interview have happened had Sky not wanted to have that conversation with him? Would that have been made a main topic of conversation if Sky had not wanted it to? Because Sky have a massive influence. So I don't know whether you agree with me or anyone else agrees with what I'm saying, but the fact that those people are willing to have that conversation with him, and they're not doing it with Tammy Abrahams or Ivan Toney or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but they're having it with Callum Wilson, does that tell you that maybe he is that guy?
Yeah, and see, he's been doing so well, and Newcastle are on the rise as well. So it like if Newcastle were mid-table and weren't doing as well and it was up and down, the interviews probably wouldn't have happened. But he's on the rise. Newcastle on the rise. I think he looks like he's the one that will get in there, who will get on the plane. So they're putting placing a bet really on Callum Wilson getting us. Who knows? Next week, not Tammy, Tony might score a hat trick, and they might be talking to Tony as well. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting in the squad. I heard something stupid about that, and this didn't make any sense to me. A 55-man provisional squad. What's that about?
Yeah, I don't think England would be the only one to do that. I did hear something similar. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I've heard that there's a number of other international teams that are looking at building a similar squad, having a real big squad. I think the squads are bigger for the World Cup this year than
maybe that's something to do with it.
So I think that's why they've asked more to come in. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Tiger Studios, he said Winnett can't shoot for shit. It was one of the earlier tweets, but I've not seen Tiger Studios in the chat before, so welcome. Click that subscribe and come and join us more often if you haven't already done so. And I just want to say I am opening this fresh bottle that Geordie Mick got for me, the Italian brandy. I've decided to open it because it's a special one.
Chug.
As the music went, I was pouring it in. But no, I wanted to keep it for a special occasion to open it up. So thank you, Geordie Mick. And I've just cracked it open to celebrate our fantastic victory today. So yeah.
Nice one. There are probably a million comments in the chat, Pete, because we can't keep up with them tonight. There's only the two of us. It's difficult to cover everything. But maybe we'll just go to some questions and take from there. And we also need to tell people what's happening tomorrow, because we are not on here tomorrow. Maybe we tell the people about that first. And maybe we will when there's 225 people in the chat and they're all liking and they're all subscribing. But tomorrow night we are not unloaded.
We are not. We are joining Paul from Toon Review. So we'll be joining.
We're back.
We're back. The collaboration is back. We've had lots of people contact us on the Loaded account, and lots of people tweeting. When's the collaboration coming back? When are we working together? Just take that comment off 1 second. When are we working together again? People really enjoyed the shows, and with the transfer window, it was a little bit messy, a little bit busy with all things Newcastle and everything was going on. So we are back and we are joining forces again, hopefully on a weekly basis, but likely to be on a 2 weekly basis. We'll be joining, or they'll be joining us on Loaded Mag and NUFC. We'll be joining them on Paul from Toon Review. So come and join us. We are going live. I've just had confirmation just before we went on live, so I've not been told Daz this, but it will be 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And we'll be joining them. And look, I think we'll all be basking in the glory of a fantastic win in Eddie's top 4 mags. So come and join us. It'll be a right laugh. It always is when these two pods get together. So expect a few fireworks.
Cool. I was listening to Paul Toon Review's show in the car actually, so I didn't get the visual aspect of it, but they did some kind of Halloween party, and so I need to go back and watch a bit of that and see how they all dressed up as. But looking forward to chatting to Paul and the team tomorrow.
Hi to Unai Emery. The comment in there. See you at Villa Park. Yep. Hopefully we'll be strengthened even further in January when we see you at Villa Park.
Jimmy? That's not Jimmy, yeah.
No, it could well be. Could well be. But I think it wouldn't say Unai Emery. If it
no, it probably wouldn't. No, you're right. Yeah.
So I don't think it would be. But look, we'll no doubt we'll see it at Villa Park. We're hoping certainly for the same result again. But click subscribe, come and join the channel and talk more with us as we go along.
As you're looking for the questions, I imagine as well we're going to be doing away days for Southampton. Have you lined up anyone yet?
It'll be our normal Southampton podcast that will come and join us. Maybe with one edition. Like magic here appears. Daz is always on the button, as always. It will be happening at some point this week, coming either on a Thursday or Friday. I will get confirmation to you, Daz, and to everyone who follows Loaded ASAP. It should be another tasty one. An interesting game, it should be. I think it's a Sunday 4:30 kickoff, if I'm right.
I can't remember, but I have the review show set up for it as well, Pete. It's probably whatever that evening after the game, because we can't usually do the reaction shows until we watch the game. So it'll be then. And who knows? Make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications, because we are going to. We might have more shows during the week. I don't know yet. We don't plan that far ahead usually. But so that's really, I suppose, what we know of that's happening. On with Paul tomorrow night and Toon Review. Then we're going to have an away days and a reaction show at the end of next week. But there could be something else in between unloaded. So watch this space. Pete, let's go to some questions.
We certainly can.
50,000. 50,000.
Oh my God! There's a few in here, but there's a few just comments in here, just like this one. Miggy 6 and 6, absolutely outstanding. 6 and 6. Can he make it 7 and 7? I wouldn't put it past him on Sunday. I really wouldn't. So there's comments like that. Another one's from Stephen King having his own golden competition that you said that, Daz, earlier on. And they're absolutely right. Dave Smart. Not seen Dave in the chat before. Dave Smart. So welcome, Dave. If you're still watching, I think you are. Shaw is like Beckenbauer, I think he was trying to say. Yeah, you know what? That he's playing like just a man possessed. He's playing on a different level. So you're
and Maldini beside him then. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Sven, Maldini, Botman. Why not? But the first question I want to throw to you is a very simple one from Nobby Clark. Is who is going to beat us? Who is going to beat us? The way we play, the way we go out there and attack teams in the manner that we do, and how solid defensively we are. Who is out there that's going to beat us?
Well, maybe Real Madrid in the Champions League final the first time around, but no, seriously. Look at we're going to have off days, as we said last week as well. We're going to ride this roller coaster as it's heading upwards at the moment. We are going to have a bad day. We're going to have pick up injuries. There's nothing we can do about it. We don't have a big enough squad yet either. We still have to play Man City again. And look at Arsenal. Who knows what's going to happen there as well? And they've taken a bit of a dip recently, but I don't know, game by game. Well, hopefully no one.
Yeah, I think some of the teams that you mentioned are quite right. Arsenal being one of them. That should be an interesting one. I mean, look, the Southampton game's not going to be straightforward. It's not going to be easy, but I believe we've got enough to turn them over. Chelsea at home. Last one before the World Cup, Chelsea, although they got beat heavily today by Brighton, that fills me with confidence with them coming to St. James's. That's for sure.
Potter, though. You never know.
Potter. Yeah, it's one of those. It's an interesting one. There's a couple of others. So Yano, when we had the conversation about Miggy, would always bring this up. We've had a long conversation about this, and he's put all of you who were calling for to replace Miggy, hang your heads in shame now. Daz, do you agree with that comment, or are you still adamant that we need to bring in an alternative to Miggy Almirón?
Not to Miggy Almirón, no, because the way Miggy's playing, if we brought in someone, though, they wouldn't get in the team because Miggy's on fire. But and Madison's in the comments, so I'd be looking at the way it is now. I'd be looking at, if you had to change it or to strengthen, I'd be looking at someone that maybe replace Willock, right? Madison could still do that role, or it doesn't have to be Madison; it could be someone else as well. But but I'm not complaining about Willock either. It's just that I want to see him get his goal, because I think once he gets his goal, it'll change for him. And he has in the past as well. He's been unreal off the bench. He's a great player to bring off the bench, and that's where he got his run of goals first as well. Was it 7-7 or something at that stage? But so yeah, it was never about, for me. It wasn't about replacing Miggy with Madison, I don't think.
Look, the one thing about Madison, he can play in a number of positions. So he I think predominantly sometimes plays on the right for Leicester. He can play in that number 10 role. He can also play on the left, and he can drift. He'll drift into games. I actually saw him originally when we were linked. I actually saw him as someone that could play in that number 8 role. And I still think he can play in a number of those roles, and bringing in a player of that quality that can drift and play in a number of positions as the game develops is absolutely spot on in what we need. And, he's already proved his worth and his quality for Leicester this season, and his goal record, his creativity is exactly what we need. And I just think he'd be a great signing for us. Not necessarily, like you said, not necessarily Miggy replacement, but he can play there. Yeah. And players sometimes get comfortable. When they're playing well, they get comfortable and expect that they're going to play every week. Sometimes you need someone to keep them on their toes. So bringing someone like Madison in isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world for someone like Miggy, to keep him on his toes and to keep him playing well. That's just my opinion.
So I just glanced at the comments, and I'm laughing at this one from Johnson. Less is negativity, Daz. We'll stuff Real Madrid.
I love it.
We'll definitely be in the conversation anyway, Johnson. The way we're playing, you never know. Maybe we should play them in a friendly.
Just add on here, our fantastic sponsor, alongside the others that are on tonight. Thank you for your £4.99 donation, Russ. Massive thank you to you. and everything that you've done alongside our brilliant sponsors. We are truly very lucky at Loaded Mag and NUFC to have great sponsors who support the channel in so many different ways. That is for sure. I'm hearing Leeds are 2-1 up.
What?
And Anfield.
Hang on. 1 second.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Yano's put it in there. Joelinton for life. Jonathan, they're all saying it. Lisa's very, very happy with that. 89 minutes as well.
Oh, wow. There'll be another congratulations coming up very soon.
Wow, no way. Alan Thompson, yes, Alan. I saw you on Loaded Cube. Amazing. And I've seen you in the chat a number of times. So glad you joined us. Honestly, Alan, like so many others in the chat that come and join us, fantastic knowledge of Newcastle. So great to have him on, and really good to hear your points on Loaded Cube the other day.
Great energy from Alan when he joined us in the Cube. Great energy. He was talking about being a supporter for 50 years, but he's loving this, isn't he? He's absolutely loving it, like everyone is.
He was loving it when we were winning the odd game last season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even in Bruce's previous season before that, he was loving the odd game where we were winning, just buzzing. But now, he must be on absolute cloud nine. And rightly so. Enjoy every minute, fella. That's for sure. But yeah, Lisa did say we'll probably get 15 minutes extra time, a little bit like us. I'll find some other questions.
I'll do the sponsors while you're looking through the questions. So I'm going to give a shout out to shybarnes.com and the range that Simon has available from Shy Barnes, the hats and the t-shirts and the hoodies and everything that Simon has, and more to come. Isn't that right, Simon? And also the loaded t-shirts in a variety of different colors, and you can get the away days in a variety of different colors as well. That Pete is always modeling on away days, even when he does 3 in a week. Shout out to Pins and Prints and the range that are available from Pins and Prints, and shout out to Marty and Machine House and the range of t-shirts and hoodies and that are available from Marty. And still love that blue hoodie. I might look to purchase that in time, because I'm waiting on other hoodies to drop. right, Simon. Also, sorry. Hint. Also, shout out to the Geordie Rise and the range that are available there from Dean, and the white and the black t-shirts. And this is where the loaded discount as well. If you want to use the discount, go and enter Loaded Mag into the checkout, and you'll get your 10% discount. Also, then a shout out to our new sponsor, and Russ, who's in the chat there a second ago, the Radiator Shed. And if you need radiators, there's only one place to call to, and it's Russ for your Italian designer radiators. And yeah, the main thing you need to look at is the radiatorshed.com. And Russ is going to join us on the show in the next couple of weeks as well. And when he does, I'm going to walk you through the range on the website. I'm going to save it until Russ joins us to do that. But here's just a quick glimpse of the radiators that are available, and get onto Russ, and he will sort you out. That was it. A quick run through the sponsors there. And again, a reminder, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button as well. And let's go over to some questions, Pete, to see us out tonight.
There's a number of just comments that we can discuss a little bit further. So we're going back to the Dan Burn conversation. So I said, Gareth Southgate may be looking at our system with big Dan Burn on the left, and the way he shuffles over to let Trippier get forward. Or maybe not as Gareth is ultra defensive, but he may well look at that. You're absolutely right in that to maximise Trippier, do you bring someone in like Dan Burn who knows the system to play alongside a Stones and a Maguire as a 3 centre-back pairing to allow him to get further forward and to allow the attackers to come in? You know Declan Rice is going to sit in and defend. So you've got that extra defensive midfielder. It's an option, so it's an interesting discussion. I don't know what you think about that. I know you don't care about England, but
yeah, no, but I'll be watching the games when they're on as well. So I don't want to bore in 0-0. I want it's a good option to have to switch it up. Let's say it's 0-0 like in the group stages, and they want to try something different. Bring Burn in, and assuming you have Trippier on the right, and just to shuffle it up a bit, or even start a game like that, or if they went one behind again, something to tweak it. So why not have them in the squad, and you have the option. God, you could have was it Pope, Trippier, Wilson, Byrne, anyone else there in the squad? You could have potentially 4 players.
Not for the World Cup, but Longstaff long term, maybe.
Yeah, long term. Yeah,
if he keeps up these performances.
The only thing is my worry. Okay, this goes for everyone of Newcastle players that go to the World Cup. Is great. It's great to go in the World Cup, but I don't really give a shit about the World Cup. I just want them to come back not injured and fresh to go and continue our march on the Premier League. So that's my main priority. It's nice to see them at the World Cup, and it's good for them and everything like that. But and I suppose it puts us on the map as well. That these players have come to Newcastle and are still able to get into World Cup squads, and that'll grow as we go forward. All our players will be at the World Cup, depending on if the country qualifies, of course. But yep, that's my thought.
No, spot on. Martin Wale says, welcome, Martin, to the channel. If you've not been on already, I think you might have before. I think I've seen you in the chat previously. Goal player and manager of the month. Who else? Who else can take that offers? Look, I'm going to ask you the question, Daz, off the back of what Martin said. Do you believe that it will be Eddie Howe manager of the month, Miggy player of the month?
How can it not be? It's look. It was those Newcastle Twitter. I can't remember them now. But yeah, they put up a map of all the games we played, and the only one we haven't won is Man United. And how can we not get goal player and manager of the month? It's a certainty.
Who is out there that could actually match us for the award of both manager of the month and player? Who's been a better player this month than Miggy, and who's been a better manager than Eddie Howe this month? I don't know. Maybe Arteta. Maybe Arteta. You know.
No, they drew against Southampton. Was it a draw against Southampton?
Yeah, they drew.
Yeah,
they drew. Who also drew Old Trafford.
Man United. Yeah. So Southampton, Man United, not apples with apples there. So no, it has to be. Arteta can get it again. It's Eddie's.
Yeah.
Not having it. I'm not having it any other way.
No, I agree with you. I believe it's the final whistle, and Leeds have won at Anfield 2-1.
Congratulations.
Love it.
Yeah, good.
No ceiling for Leeds.
Brilliant stuff that, and you know what? If anything, it probably infuriates me even more that they managed to get that last-minute winner against Leeds. But look, it keeps them down there. It keeps us flying high up the table, and as long as we keep that distance with them, the greater it is for us. No doubt about it. Look, there you go. Spot on.
We're 8 points. 8 points ahead of them.
Yeah,
and they have a game in hand.
They have one game in hand, but you know, they've lost 2 in the last 4, or in the last 5, should I say? So, yeah, interesting. Very interesting how things are materialising there. They're clearly out the title race as it stands, but could they be out the Champions League race if they keep putting in results like this? Who knows? But look, let's focus on us and let's keep pushing forward. Yano's made a point. I want to get your thoughts on this, Daz. He's put, in his opinion, fact, Newcastle have a massive advantage by not competing in Europe. Fact, Newcastle have a massive advantage with limited involvement of our players at the World Cup. Fact, we are bloody awesome. Now,
I agree with 2 of those facts, but I think the middle one is potentially changing. If Wilson goes to the World Cup, and and we're assuming Pope, Trippier. What's the
Did Switzerland make it? Is Shaw going?
Yeah, I think Shara's going to World Cup. Yeah, he is. Botman's in the squad as well. Yeah, look, if we go through our squad, look, that's what we'll do for this question. Let's just put up our team for today.
Great question from Yanno,
though. Here it is. So Pope going, Trippier going, Shara going, Botman looks like he's going, Dan Burn potential to go. We're calling for him to go. Guerrero's going. Sean Longstaff, not this World Cup, next one. Joelinton, not yet. Miggy, I don't think Paraguay qualified.
They didn't make it.
No. Joelinton, potentially. A lot of talk about that. And Callum Wilson, potentially as well. A lot of talk about that. So we do have a few there.
1, 2, 3,
Fact.
5, 6, 7. There's 8 out of that 11 that could potentially go to the World Cup. Maybe Dan Burn, probably not. Because I think he's well in the conversation, in my opinion, and lots of others' opinion. But for some reason, I just don't think he's going to take him. But there's 7 others, like you just said, that could genuinely have a good chance of making the World Cup, which is really, really interesting. Really interesting.
And as well as that, the other advantage is, you know how there's so many games to World Cup. You're going to keep an eye on Switzerland because Shara's at it, just to see how he's getting on as well, and it gives you a bit of an interest in watching that game or wherever. You're definitely going to watch Brazil. You watch Brazil anyway, but see will Bruno get on, or if Joelinton is in the mix, will Joelinton get on? So you're going to have. There are a few, So that's the only thing of your facts that I argue with.
Yeah, and to be fair, Yano's come back and he said, City have 13 or 14 away, which But in argument to that, you would expect that because they're Man City. They're winning the league pretty much every year. You'd expect them to have full of international players. But I think, we'd have probably expected maybe 4 or 5 maximum. We're now looking at potentially 7 or 8.
Yeah. But it's a good point. The Animals come back as well. They'll have more, and I suppose they'll have more potential for injuries as well. But they have bigger strength and depth as well. And I think there was a question in there as well. And I'll bring it up here about. Do you think we'll go for strength if we're still flying as high as we are? We'll look to strengthen that bit more in general. And I think what happens at the World Cup will have a factor there. That was a question from Mike Get. That. Let's say, God forbid, touch wood here, that Bruno got injured. That's a massive. That would be a massive. That's my worry. If Wilson did get injured again, touch wood, I don't want him to get injured, but we should have Isak back. If Bruno goes missing, we're going to go missing. So.
Yeah. I think there'll be a contingency for that. I think Eddie Howe and the owners would have prepared for something like that. One of their big players getting injured. The great thing about that, in the worst possible circumstances, is that if someone gets injured like that, who we have January to go out and strengthen. We've got 2 loans that we can still use. We've got money still available. So there is an opportunity for us to really go out and improve the squad to replace players that are injured long term. But going back to the question, if we are in the European spots, which come January, I do believe we will be, and I fully expect us to be by that point in January, will we go and push? I think Eddie Howe will want to push. I don't think Eddie Howe's going to want to sit on his laurels and just think, okay, well, where we are now is enough and we can take our players through. I think he's going to probably want to get 1 or 2 real good quality players, 1 big signing, and then maybe a loan to really kick us on. Someone like a Maddison, Moussa Diaby was linked, and we've talked about Moussa Diaby at Leverkusen. Seems like he's picking up form recently. Mudryk, who scored an absolute worldie against Celtic midweek, a real talented player who can play on the left. He's really, really showing his quality. Someone like that in those attacking areas that can be a bit more creative. Someone like that, I think we can go all out for. I don't know what you think, Daz.
Yeah, no, I think we look at it as well. But we're probably going to talk an awful lot about this come January and the lead up to January. So I won't go into names so much yet. I did mention one guy on the loaded cube. I can't pronounce his name. I don't know if you know much about him. He's number 77 for Napoli. He scored a goal against Liverpool. We ended up calling him KK because his name is I don't know. I'll put it in the chat as well because
he got an assist for Osimhen. He got an assist for Osimhen today. You put it in there. I can't pronounce his name, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I don't want to be disrespectful. But he's a super talented player. And again, alongside your Mudryks, alongside your Moussa Diabes and your Madisons, like you'd put him alongside that. The only thing is that Napoli over the last month, with the amount of teams that have been interested in him, including the summer, they've said he's not for sale at any price. So that's the only thing. Looking at him as well. If anyone could get him, it would be us, but because we've got the money to do so. But I just think he might be slightly out of reach, whereas Mudryk, for example, he wants to move on, and there's a decent fee. There's talk about 30, maximum maybe 40 million. You could get a deal done for him. So he's maybe more of a likely deal. But like you said, lots of moving parts.
He's very good as well. I like Mudryk as well.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, in the weeks to come, in the build up to January, I'm sure we're going to be talking about all of this. So we'll save it for then when we're near.
Oh, we will.
Definitely. So great point. Great point mentioned as always. One player we forgot about as well, thinking about that, is Trossard.
Trossard, yeah.
I think he scored again today against Chelsea.
Did he?
And
he's on fire as well.
He hasn't got long left on his contract. And I don't know if he signed yet, and he'll be going to the World Cup. So could well be one to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. He's someone that has been in a rich vein of form as well. He's potentially someone that could challenge Miggy, but it won't for Player of the Month. No, it's Miggy's.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely for now, he's keeping that place nice and secure. We talked about it earlier. Willett went off looking disappointed. Nobby loves that in particular. He was class, but wanted a goal. Love him. Do you see anything coming of that? Do you see anything developing as an issue, or do you think it's just something that will easily get smoothed over?
I didn't see him looking disappointed, but just Nobby there. But he desperately wanted him to score a goal. Remember the one where Wilson tapped it in on the line? I really wanted Willett that to go down for Willett, because I think that'll be the turning point for him. And he's definitely deserves his place in the team, but it's just that whatever it'll just kick him on when he scores. And yeah, I thought a couple of games before, I thought he had more chance of scoring than today. And so, but maybe Southampton will be the one.
Maybe. We'll do the last couple. A number of these are just comments being made. We've got Joelinton for Life saying, how manager of the month, Miggy player of the month, Miggy goal of the month, kind of little treble for the tune, and you're absolutely right. That is a very, very nice treble there as well. Stephen Ingram says, who knows where we'll end up in the league, but it seems to be going unnoticed that Eddie has formed a very good cup team, full of skill and spirit and able to beat anyone on their day. He's sticking a bet on. Now, is that a possibility for us? Is in your mind, are you thinking, actually we've got a real good opportunity to attack the cups this season? Do you see it as a viable option for us, either in the Carabao or the FA Cup?
Yeah, I do. Why not? And as well as that, it's not like when you get to that Crystal Palace game, you've only that game and the Chelsea game left, and then you have a break for a month or more before our next. Well, if we win that game, then I think we play on the 19th of the winners would play on the 19th of December, something right before Christmas is the next round of that cup. But yeah, why not? And I was Pod the Time was saying today that maybe it's like it's normally no, we won't go for the cups because we're focusing on the cementing our place in the Premier League. Now it could be no, we won't go for the cups because we want to get that top four. So it's a different scenario. But I think no, he's definitely going to go for it.
So an added question that I'm going to throw into you, Daz, if we're securely in the European positions, come say January, February time, and we're building in the FA Cup, we've got through one round or a couple of rounds in the FA Cup, we're moving on in the Carabao Cup at that point. What do you prioritize? Do you just say to the cups, what, we're going to play the second string and see how that develops? Or are you going to go, you know what, we've got a chance of winning the trophy, let's go for a cup and let's just see how the league rides out? Would you take that risk? Where are you going with that?
I trust it anyhow, but I'd have to go for both. I'd have to go for both, and I would have hoped at that stage that we would have strengthened a bit because we were still in that fourth spot, let's say, come January, and then they said, right, let's add to it because we need a bit of strength and depth. The players, let's say the one or two players that we were going to bring in the summer. This coming summer, let's get them in now, and then we'll have a bit of strength and depth, and we can really go for it because we could end up being a year or two ahead of ourselves in the project by winning, getting into the top four. Because as Mike Ashley also say, he classed getting into the top four as a victory, as an achievement of winning something. And in that sense, he would have been right. But and also go for a cup. We'll be ahead of ourselves in trying to get a cup. So it makes sense in if it is possible to bring in players that you were going to bring in the summer in January and for that strength and depth, go for it if we're still in that position.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a third part of this series of questions.
Okay.
Get the league for a second.
I'm glad you didn't give them all. I'm glad you didn't give them all to me together like you did to Jordan the other day. You gave him about 5 questions. I was like, how does he even remember what the first question was? Go on.
I did end up breaking it down for him, but I just, it just came to me. I thought, this is a good question. What about this? What about this? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask you all at the same time before it goes out my head. But I managed to break it down for him. But, okay, league aside, we're getting deeper into the Carabao Cup, but we're also getting in maybe to round 4, 5 of the FA Cup. Which one do you prioritise?
Which of the 2 cups? I'd be looking at who's left in the cups. I'd be looking at what's kind of squad they are playing in the cups. Like the bigger teams, they tend to play their second string, their second keeper, and so on and so forth. But I'd still end up going for both of them because it's only one game. Why not? It's like make or break. If we're in a good position in the league and still in both cups, you have to go for it. You can't just say being off one cup. We're not in that you don't have that luxury of having trophies every couple of seasons. It's been a long time since we won something, so we go for it, and that's what the fans will be demanding. We go for it as well. Get to that stage.
Yeah. No.
What about you, Pete? Let's turn the question back at you.
I think you're right. It's looking at who's left in either of the cups, and with the Carabao Cup, it's a case of we are maybe more likely to get to Wembley at that point. We'll be further on in that cup than we would be at the FA Cup, but I think it would be determined on who's still left in the cup. So if you got, say, the Carabao Cup, where you've got 5 out of the top 6 that are out of the cup, say, for example, and you've got teams around you that you can compete and beat against, but you've maybe got one of those traditional top 6 that are still left in there, say like a Man United or a Chelsea or a Tottenham or someone like that. For me, I'd be prioritising that cup because I think that's the best chance of us getting to a final first and foremost, and then secondly, potentially winning it on the day, because as was mentioned earlier, on our day we can compete with anybody. So maybe I'd prioritise that. But again, the FA Cup tends to bring up those surprises where big teams get knocked out as well. So I think it does depend on who's left in it. I think you made a really good point there, and you're absolutely right. It does depend on who's left in the cup to say, right, which one we prioritise. Just if we're up against a League Two team that could take us into round 5 or round 6, then you prioritise that one. You take that one because it's going to get you near to the semi-final of Wembley. Whereas if you're in the kind of quarterfinals and you're one of those teams that are just surrounded by top 6 teams. Not to say that we can't beat them, but when you've got a Premier League season to still continue to play, as well as the cup competitions, sometimes it can be too much, and injuries and all the rest of it. I don't know, but I'd probably maybe the Carabao Cup because we're later on into that tournament. But yeah, that's just my.
I think I'd also be looking at that stage. I'd know that I'd never get a ticket for the final, so I'd be looking at the homecoming, getting over there for the homecoming celebrations. But when is the League Cup final now? I'm thinking, is it in April? Is it any time in April? No, I won't look at it yet.
Okay, I've got a number of other questions or comments, should I say. So just on the conversation we had, said top 4 gets more money, better players, more sponsors, but wouldn't turn down a couple or two. I think that's what we were saying as well. Just in the conversation about Trossard, Chris Banks said his contract's up in the summer. So again, another interesting conversation there.
Do they have an option to add on another year though?
I don't think so.
I hear someone say that before.
Oh,
no? Okay.
I've not heard that personally, but could well be. A lot of teams do have that in place, but I've personally not heard that. So we'll see. William Smith says, welcome, William. Callum Wilson should not be in the England squad, and I'm not just saying this as an American. I think the Newcastle selfishness fan is creeping in. You don't want him to get injured or prioritising for his national team. You want him wrapped up in cotton wool, ready for the after the World Cup antic.
You know what? Will Smith should get one of these for that kind of comment. I want to save him as well for Newcastle rather than England, but I think he deserves it.
Are you Chris Rock returning the favour? That's what I thought. The old Chris Rock return slap. Yano says he agreed with the point where me and you, Daz, we talked about the fact that we make teams look poor in terms of the way in which we play, the way in which we press and we cause problems. But Yano's put, but if what's on the pitch isn't working, there is nothing coming on to get us a goal. Obviously, Shelby, Isak, obviously injured at the moment, and ASM are good options. Yeah, and that's a more than fair point, Yano. The options aren't great, but what we do have is a team that are creating chances in our first 11 at this moment in time. And to be fair, those players that come on are likely to at least get us something, in the game, whether it's a point or allowing us to hold on to a victory. That's what those players have been doing at the moment. But that's why we talked about the need for strengthening and not just standing still in January to improve our options on the bench. You talked about Maddison. Would Maddison come straight into this team that's playing well? Does Eddie Howe ever do that? No. So he'd be coming off the bench as an option and trying to prove himself into the team, as many of the other players that we've talked about. So, they're not guaranteed and they have to earn their stripes, but we need to improve those options. So you're absolutely right in what you said. But at this moment in time, we are making teams look poor by the way in which we're playing and how good we're being. Another great point from Yano as well. Interesting one here. I think Howe is the reason Potter got the Chelsea job. He has proven from the start of the year that this new breed of English manager are very good. Would you agree with that? We had the Harry Redknapps and the Sam Allardyces before. Do you agree that the likes of Potter and Howe are better than that breed of manager from previous?
Yeah, I would agree with that comment. I think is it Todd Bowley that is one of the owners at Chelsea now. I think that they've looked at what Newcastle have done, and as well as us learning from the big clubs what they've done in the past, they're learning from us, and they're kind of going with a similar model, and they're looking at what Brighton have done, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hadn't snapped up Dan Ashford, that they could have gone in for him as well. They seem to want to kind of go down the same model that we're doing. And that they were an awful lot further along than we were in what they had to build with and work with already. So, yeah, I'd agree with that comment.
Definitely. I would as well. Great point from the Dugan family. Just a little note, Adam has said, Loaded Mag is class. Great post game by you lads. All the best from the USA. Top stuff. If you haven't subscribed and liked
Cheers,
already,
Adam.
please do. We've got over 150 likes already for the show, but we've still got way over 200 in the chat. So there's still a number that haven't clicked that like yet. Click that like, click the subscribe. Come and join us. Will Smith, not mentioned the slap.
I saw that.
Mentioned who's in England's pool, which is obviously
it makes sense now.
So he doesn't want Callum Wilson destroying his national team. I get it. I understand that.
No,
go on, Dad. Sorry.
Slap rescinded, William.
There we go. All is well. And Gallagher Brown, welcome Gallagher Brown. If you haven't subscribed as well, click that subscribe button. We're class, the end. And you are absolutely
Can't disagree with that.
Cannot disagree with that. We are absolutely class and fully deserve all the plaudits that we're getting. And finally, from MB79, welcome MB79 again. I think this is a nice way to wrap up, really. Could we play the Champions League music again, Daz?
That was my plan. Instead, we're not going to play out with the house tonight. We're going to put up the table, take us off screen, Pete, and play the music again. How about that? We'll leave you on with your brandy as well. So
this
I think we will wrap up.
This is my FA Cup, my Carabao, my Premier League trophy. You can hold it up in the air.
Right, let's put this on. While you're putting up your cup. A reminder again, we're back with Paul Toon Review tomorrow night at 8. We are also back during the week with the away days and the reaction show, and probably something else as well. So keep an eye out. Thanks to everyone that has joined us tonight. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed and liked the channel as well. I like the show, and we are unreal. Good night, everybody.